Hello and welcome, I'm Ishani. I'm glad that you stopped at my channel and I am so delighted to be part of February 2026 Altenew release. This card looks detailed, dramatic and honestly a little intimidating. But what if I told you it's mostly done just with layered stencils and smart embossing? And yes, you can absolutely make this too. Let's go ahead and use the beautiful new release by Altenew. I'm using these gorgeous twin bloom stamp set and coordinating stencil, and along with it I'm going to use this paper echo stencil, and oh my god, this is like the stencil I was missing in my stash. I love the script and like I am a period drama fan. Do you also get the Victorian vibes from it? And if it doesn't take you back yet, let me take you back with some deep, moody tones paired with metallic highlights, creating timeless, luxurious design, perfect for celebrating someone truly special. I'm going to start with stamping on a burnt red cardstock. So I've taken a larger cardstock because this stamp is a little bigger. I'm going to use just one of the flowers, and before I stamp my flower, I'm going to treat my cardstock with anti-static powder. And then with Altenew's embossing ink, I go ahead and stamp on this burnt red cardstock. And I'm going to use Altenew's antique gold embossing powder and heat emboss on this red cardstock. I get my heat tool and melt all this beautiful embossing powder. Now that the stamping is done, I just want to show you that the first two stencils of this coordinating stencil set are of the other flowers. I'm going to use the stencil number 3 and I'm going to use the B1, B2, and all the markings are already there on the stencil. So stencil number 3, 4 and stencil number 5 for this flower. I position my stencil over my heat embossed flower, and let me talk about the inks. I love to use the mini inks, and you know these families are just perfect to create a beautiful gradient. But today I am going to use the darkest of many colors. I'm going to start with Woodland Escapes Redwood. So for all the ink families that I'm going to show you, I'm going to use most of the darkest of the color families. In Dried Petals, I take Acai Berry. From Red Cosmos, I have Grapevine, and from Red Sunset, I am not using the Velvet, which is the darkest color in that set. I'm using Crimson. So for this card, Crimson is going to be my lightest color. And so for my first stencil and my first ink blending, I am using Crimson. And I'm going to use Crimson at the edges of my petals first, so that I have the highlight of the burnt red cardstock, and that would be like the lightest of my flower. I'll go all around my flower, and there are petals that are tucked under the outer petals. So I'm going to put ink on those under petals as well. Next, I get Grapevine. So this is a little darker color, and I am going to go on the same places that I went with my Crimson, but now this Crimson will become a darker Grapevine. We need to just create shadows and depths and keep varying the intensity of the color. Next, I'm going to get Acai Berry from the Dried Petals set, and for adding this color, I am going to use my second stencil, which is number 3 Stencils B2. For this, I'm using an angle detail blending brush, and I am getting my Acai Berry, the darker, richer red, from the center towards outside. So I want more depth in the center, and it is radiating outwards. And we already have our Crimson and Grapevine on the outer sides of the petals. So this will create quite a bit of depth just before the highlights, which are the areas that we've left uncolored on our cardstock. So when I'm adding color, I'm getting more intense color in the inner part just next to the stencil. I'm trying to get more color, and where we have areas of the stencil which are there to color, I am going with a little lighter hand. I take off my stencil and I just want to let it dry a little bit. I'm using a bit of heat tool so that my colors, the dye ink, is absorbed in the paper. And then when I add the next round of color, so I am going to add grapevine, which was the first color we used in the first stencil. On the second stencil again, I am adding grapevine, and this will help the acai berry and grapevine merge. So you have the darker depths of the grapevine because I was not coloring all through the petal with the acai berry. Now grapevine will just help in extending that transition. And before I bring in my third layer of the flower, I will just ink my leaves up. The reason I'm doing it is because I want the colors to just blend and get absorbed in the cardstock before I bring in my third layer. For the leaves, I have taken Rock Collection, and I first apply a lighter layer of Silverstone, which is the second color in the set. I go all over my leaves with this lighter gray ink. There is also the center of flower, which I color with the same Silverstone. And for the second layer of the leaves, I am getting the darkest pure graphite as my second layer. Now I just run a cloth over my embossed image so that the dye ink which is on the embossing, I can lift it off. And now it's time to get our third layer. Now this is Woodland Escapes Redwood, which is the richest of my reds. You can go ahead and check out what families you have. Just pick up the last color, which is like the darkest of the colors. I had these colors in my stash and I thought, yeah, they would make nice velvety red flower. And I have my third layer of beautiful redwood color. Now, as this is drying, I'll go ahead and just go and add a little bit of my pure graphite, the second layer of the leaves, just to add a little more depth, because I want there to be a little transition between the leaves and the petals. So now with darker gray, now my leaves are like a lot in background, and I can now add more depth to the center of the flower. I add my third layer and then go ahead again with redwood. So when we are applying colors through stencils, you can skip the next stencil and go ahead and color the other part so that the colors just take time to get inside the cardstock. Sometimes when you let the color settle down and then add a second layer over it after it is dried, it will bring out the color more. And because we already have like such rich deep tones, I did not want everything to get muddy and like just absorbed together. I wanted those layers to stand out. And next I'm going to fussy cut around my stamped image. It does not have a die, so you need to fussy cut it. As I cut, I want to take this opportunity to invite you for my academy class. It's called Timeless Botanicals and it features this February release, and actually the same stamp set and stencil set and Paper Echo stencil as well, and some beautiful other products. Check out Altenew website, and I would love you to join, and I hope you watch it and enjoy the class and create some beautiful timeless botanicals by yourself. If you love these products and want to support my channel, please use my affiliate link in the description below when you shop. Now for the background, I have taken the Vineyard Berry cardstock. This is dark maroon cardstock, and I am going to do some stenciling with the Paper Echo stencil. So I am taking embossing ink and I'm applying it through mini blending brush at some places of my cardstock. I don't want the whole script. I want it to be like faded yet gilded, reminding you of the Gilded Age. And I have some imperfect stenciling, but I was aiming for that. And then I take antique gold embossing powder and yes, emboss with this beautiful gold on this rich maroon. Also, this is a hop, so don't forget to hop along, and you can be a winner for $100 gift certificate and the 4 $50 gift certificates, which will be given if you win this video hop. And after the embossing is done, I'm going to do some ink blending. And here again we have resist technique. If you've watched my previous YouTube tutorial, you must have watched the 4 beautiful cards we made with embossed resist techniques. And we did some Joseph's coat and Jacob's coat. Did you watch it? So with redwood ink, I am going around my cardstock. And this to me brings more aged and velvety look, and the gold peeping up is just so beautiful. And next, to create some texture, I am taking my crimson mini ink and just swiping across my cardstock. So this is like a beautiful way to add texture. Just swipe your inks across, and I think mini inks are just perfect because like they cover and they make perfect streaks. Next, I am going to take out this very loved stencil of mine, Vintage Motifs. This is not part of the release, this is a previous release, and I love the beautiful fleur-de-lis motifs it has. It actually represents royalty, and I love it's like the perfect touch for this card. I am going to do some stenciling over the stencil as well. I get acai berry. This is my rich plum color, and I go around my card's edges, and after I apply a layer of this, next I'm getting my pure graphite as well, and now it will be further towards the edge. So it's like a gradient of dark and light and then merging with the mix of reds in the center of my card. And this makes us complete a beautiful background with the rich, gilded, velvety finish. I mean, I love it. I hope you feel it is that as well. Now, to assemble a card, I'm going to take a top folding black cardstock, and with a little glue just at the edges, I am applying my background. And we have our fussy cut flower as well. Now this leaf, which would have been protruding out if I had left it like that, I just want to tuck it down on the other end of the cardstock. And I want to give my flower a little more pop. And for that, I have taken this black cardstock and I am tracing around my flower and just outside the flower, and I'm going to fussy cut so that I have a black cardstock that imitates the shadow of my flower. There are some rough edges, and I take a nail file and just take off all those little threads of paper. And for the sentiment, I want to stamp "You Are," and I am going to use a beautiful Timeless Sands layering die set, which is also part of this release, and I'm going to die cut Timeless. I'll die cut it with gold cardstock. I'm sorry I missed recording that part. With antique gold embossing powder, I heat emboss "You Are" on an extended black strip of paper. On this extended piece, I'm going to adhere my Timeless, which is cut from brushed gold cardstock. Now coming to the shadow that we've created, I just want to erase off the pencil lines that are there, and I will adhere my black shadow just underneath my flower. And now it's time to assemble our card. I add my leaf, which I had cut, and with 3D foam tape, I mount my beautiful flower on my gorgeous background. And then I add "You Are Timeless" just underneath the flower. And to add some embellishment, I have this mystic black stellar sequins that I'm going to add around my flower. So they come in 6 different sizes, and you can choose the size that you want and create some beautiful extra accents around my flower. If you're new to my channel, I would love you to subscribe and check out my previous videos. If you're somebody who wants to stretch their supplies and love to try different techniques, I know you're going to find the perfect tutorials for yourself. Thank you for your time and thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this release and create gorgeous cards with this beautiful February release. Bye-bye.